When prosecuting their enemies, ministers like to say it's the rule of law. G'day, we're here today with David Mcbride, the Afghan war crimes whistleblower, whose trial comes up next month, November 13, and he faces 50 years in prison for blowing the whistle on Australian ADF crimes in Afghanistan. One of the most remarkable things about this saga with David Mcbride and other whistleblowers is the double standard. We've just done a piece on Oracle Corporation, the US multinational giant. It made $1.7 billion in government contract money over the past 10 or 15 years. And we've had a run through their accounts, and we've identified 68 separate breaches of the law, of the Corporations Act. David is facing 50 years in prison because they say that he has broken the law. So here we have a perennial lawbreaker in a US multinational corporation, and yet David faces 50 years in prison for breaking the law. David, can you tell us what you think about this double standard when they claim the rule of law is why they're pursuing you?
Yeah, look, it's bullshit. And it's the central problem of Australia at the moment. There is no law as far as the government is concerned. They use the law as an excuse to punish their enemies. They don't like me because I've embarrassed them, so they say national security. They do like Oracle, I presume because of huge donations, I mean, because they're lazy, and so the law is not enforced against Oracle. Now, once the law is not consistently enforced, it's not actually the law anymore. And that's how I actually started this case. I started this case not because I saw war crimes, but I saw that they were trying to prosecute good soldiers who just did their job. And I said, and they weren't prosecuting others who were under a cloud. And so I was like, hang on, we can't do that. This is maybe only a small example, but the law matters. And if you don't apply it consistently, everything falls down. And the government, whether they're just they're stupid or they don't see it that way. They just see the law is a weapon they use against their enemies, and they don't realise that the whole nature of our country constitution will fall down if that's the case.
And so it is that whistleblowers such as David Mcbride and Richard Boyle face decades in prison, rule of law, for doing the right thing, no less, while powerful foreign corporations can break the law at their whim and face no consequences. Now, a forensic accounting contact of ours has dug into 20 years of filings by Oracle Corporation, the US giant multinational and massive tax evader. It's a cloud technology company. And he found that Oracle had broken the law on no less than 68 occasions, 68 separate offences. Where is the rule of law? It seems the rule of law only applies to people that the government doesn't like. Oracle, during this same time frame since 2006, has won 2,304 government contracts worth a total of $1.735 billion. We are showering money on this tax avoider and serial breaker of the corporations law. Is the rule of law therefore a joke? When you consider the oppressive government tactics applied to David Mcbride and Richard Boyle and others, it's a pretty sick joke. If the government were making Oracle comply with the rule of law, it would levy millions in fines and correct their errant behaviour. They would do something. They would lift a finger. The last time, a few years ago, we busted Oracle for serial law breaking. That was 2019. And we identified then 42 offences. Now it's up to 68. Credit where credit's due, the tax office has had a bit of a look at them. They've been in negotiations with them for a year. Haven't seen them in negotiations with small businesses at all. They don't negotiate, they just tell you what to do. But when you're a foreign multinational, you have a different status. Such is the rule of law. Such is the double standard. Over the years, we've chronicled dozens of such cases of large corporations breaking the laws of the Commonwealth of Australia. And sometimes, such as the case of Gina Reinhardt's Hancock prospecting, which failed to produce regulatory filings on time, the regulators did hop into action, enforce some fines and penalties, but it doesn't happen enough. Nobody is looking. It seems that nobody cares. In the case of Oracle, it's worse. It's so egregious, their failure to report properly under the Corporations Act, that they're able to game the tax system. They're able to sort of backdate, pocket millions of dollars. Our analyst found, to quote him, backdating transactions and agreements with related parties to minimise taxable profits. Who else gets away with this? And there are others. There are legion. Lend-Lease with its billion-dollar retirement village tax scam. There's a whistleblower, Tony Watson, being persecuted there. Pfizer, Clive Palmer, the Business Council of Australia itself, myriad breaches of the Corporations Act. And of course, good old oil and gas lobby, APIA, now Australian Energy Producers. They've greenwashed their name. Weekly, we hear the exhortations of lobby groups such as BCA, MCA, APIA and so on, telling the government what is right and wrong, telling them what to do. Where do we ever hear about them? On the multitude of transgressions by the corporate sector. Qantas, we haven't heard boo out of them on Qantas, the 8,000 ghost flights. The largest airline, the largest consultant, auditor and tax advisor, PwC, flogging government secrets. KPMG, the largest cheating scandal in Australia ever. That was buried. The CBA, systemic rip-offs of their own clients, as found by the Royal Commission a couple of years ago. Do we need a Royal Commission into Australia? The David Mcbride interview is coming, long form. David faces 50 years in jail for doing the right thing, but apparently breaching the rule of law. We've got an interview with David coming. His trial is coming up next month. And so this is particularly critical timing that Australians get behind him, because we need to back people who do the right thing, not the wrong thing. And we need to hold power, of course, to account. Thanks for your support. You can like, follow, comment below and chuck us a few bucks on Patreon if you can.